Hi everyone, here's Maria Carmo, and today I have a very special guest. It's Frederik from Cardano Foundation. How are you today, Fred?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a very special day for me to have you here.
You're welcome. I'm sorry about that. I'm still doing most of the things. It's not visible what I'm doing. It's really in the engine room. But I'm hoping that, somewhere next year we'll get to a place where I can do more of the things I love and being out in the market and creating much more adoption and much more bridges between, institutions and society and the world of blockchain, which we all love.
I see, I have you on LinkedIn and I see you always in this blockchain events and all this stuff. How is it going? Does the interest grow in the industry? Is people more curious about Cardano? How it's going?
So to be honest, I'm not participating in that many events as I used to do. But I think there's two things who's happening. So I'm a part of a large community of builders and let's say executioners, right? So for the last many years, my interest in blockchain has been around not doing POCs or MVPs, but how can we bring this live? How can we take this wonderful technology and bring it out to the intersection where it really touches business model, it touches people and hearts and so on. And therefore, I'm not like the typical conference guy who goes and have a coffee and so on. I'm more like hiding in an engine room and doing the plumbing and, doing the legal stuff and getting, everybody up to speed. And in that kind of society, we never saw a drawdown. So even in the crypto winter, it was just, every day was, building. Huh? But I did notice a lot of my colleagues who enjoy more like let's say the public conferences and really socialize and so on. That there was a big drop in that, and obviously with COVID, that people couldn't meet physically, also was a big a blocker. But so from my side, I have to say it's just if anything, just more interest. And around the Cardano project, I'm just overwhelmed. It's amazing how many people who wake up every day and think about Cardano. And from when I started in the foundation, where most people in Central Europe, where I kind of do the main of my work and have my network, nobody really knew what Cardano was. And now we are really a mainstream name. So whoever I speak to, most people have heard about us either due to our vision, either due to our sustainable, so basically the let's say the green footprint the architecture holds, or because some of the problems Cardano solves compared to other blockchains. And that's been really surprising that you in only 6 months can change the brand so massively.
Yes, I'm really curious you say that because you are in touch with high-level people in your networking, and I'm here in my networking. And just to give you a number, my channel grew from 1,000 followers to 5,000 in 2 months. Like the views on my videos is like 2,000 views, 3,000 views. So it shows that the interest for Cardano is growing all levels. Everybody wants to know what we are doing.
Yeah, we see that also on the foundation side. I think our Reddit channel is getting close to 600,000 subscribers, I believe, right? And it's very hard for us to kind of look at, how big is the network, but we do believe that around 1.5 million people wake up every day and have some kind of interaction with a Cardano the project, a Cardano channel, or something around Cardano.
Yeah, I would like to get this opportunity to say thank you for all the ambassadors. They are doing an amazing job. Every single channel, we have in English, we have Portuguese, we have many languages, we have Reddit, we have the forum of Cardano, we have all this platform. And if you don't know the other ambassadors, or if you don't know what we do, we are around the ecosystem, make sure that everything is working smoothly and is a safe place for you to learn about Cardano.
Yeah, and also a big thank you from my side. I mean, we would not be here where we are today without all the help and all the hard work from all the ambassadors.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Like every time I used to tell everybody, I don't know everything, but I always know someone that will help me to find out what I need. And the ambassadors are amazing. I don't know if you know the Charles interview that is also here in the channel. They got translated for other languages. It's all ambassadors that say, Maria, I can translate it for my own languages, and it got translated. It is amazing how we can organize ourselves in pro of something that we really believe. And the ambassadors are all passionate about Cardano. But tell me, I would like to know, how could Cardano Foundation help us as a community, as an ecosystem, to get more adoptions, for example?
Well, I think it really depends on what you think about as adoption. So we recently got the approval for our strategy. And obviously, like any other strategy, that will change over time as we, certain things work and certain things doesn't work. But where the Cardano Foundation is going to play a very large role is on what I call the institutional adoption. And already here, there's a lot of people saying, oh, hey, hold on a second. What does that mean? And what it really means is that everybody who accepts that you're living in a society who has some social norms, which you need to kind of adjust to, which people expect of you from a human, and there is a legislation in place, so there is rules and there is punishment if you don't follow the rules, but also encouragement if you do. That's what I call institutional. So we're really focusing on, let's say, bridging into the existing world as we live in today and upgrading that world. And the reason why we are focusing there instead of, let's say, focus more on the crypto native part is because the Cardano Foundation is a Swiss foundation, is incorporated, and it's expensive to be incorporated. And we have a supervisory authority, so it's a bit like a financial supervisory authority. There's, a regulatory framework who's ensuring that we are doing what we promised to do and that we are not cheating and that we're an audited entity. There are certain rules as governance structures, but it also allows us to use that. So if we are paying for all of that, why not use that? And that means that we can actually take some liability out of the system by basically taking that liability over to the Cardano Foundation. So if you're thinking about, let's say, a government who is thinking about, let's move all the voting of this country to a blockchain, it's very safe to say that they want to have three things. They want to have a blockchain which is predictable, which is resilient, and which is reliable. And why is it that they want that? Well, it is because blockchain in many ways is amazing, but the government doesn't own the blockchain. It's specifically not if it's let's say a blockchain like ours, a permissionless open blockchain. And that means that they're giving power away. They don't own the technology stack. And that creates a lot of uncertainty. So if I don't own it, if I don't control it, how can I actually be 100% sure that it does what it's supposed to do? And how can I actually trust that the blockchain also exists next year and in 5 years' time? Because such things like architecture, like a voting system, you really don't want too many changes in it. You want it to be very stable, very secure, right? You want to be able to predict what the architecture does. So not the voting, of course, the voting has to be democratic, but you want to have some kind of certainty around it. And that's exactly where we can do a lot with the Cardano Foundation. The other part is education and regulatory uncertainty. So let's take a country like India or China has been very big in the media, right? So when you have a large country who's, let's say, banning cryptocurrencies or trying to ban cryptocurrencies, the big question in my heart comes out and says, okay, let's look at ETH, or let's look at Bitcoin, or let's look at ADA. So if I want to capture business value and I want to bring, entrepreneurs and startups on this blockchain or large companies on this blockchain, and the way you do that is that you have to buy some ADA, you have to buy some ETH to be able to use the decentralized network of nodes to do whatever you want to do. Is that then an illegal action? So when you're buying this kind of utility token because you want to use the network, is it then a cryptocurrency? And this is a question which is really hard to answer. And therefore, I think it's very important for us as the Cardano Foundation that we are going together with other foundations and other blockchain projects. And if they don't want to play, we need to plow the road first, and we need to de-risk enterprises and governments and also private individuals who want to use our beautiful blockchain, that they know that they can use this safely without coming into any kind of regulatory hurdles. The other part is education. So I'm doing a lot of job interviews. I don't know if you've seen, we have a lot of openings in the Cardano Foundation at the moment. We're really hiring and growing the team because obviously IRHK is shipping the product in a fantastic speed right now. And we want to augment and support that. But a lot of the people I'm interviewing with, and I ask simple questions like, if you compare the Cardano blockchain against Ethereum, what is the differences? What is the difference between proof of work, proof of stake? What is the difference between account-based or UtxO-based? So for you and me, Maria, very simple things we can explain. The majority of the world don't actually understand that. And that's not even very technical questions, really. It really relies to, you have a use case and you want to do something specific. And I think it's really important that we kind of explain what is blockchain and what is it not for different industries and for different use cases. Mm-hmm. And that kind of knowledge is not really out there yet. And that's also why we are launching very soon, I hope in a week or something like that, maybe 2 weeks, we're launching the developer portal, which will have a lot of education for developers and also have compilers and other nice stuff. But we're also really looking into how can we do, use all of the great work from Lars from IRHK around the Plutus Pioneers and the Malawi programs, but also Imurko's education platform. How can we try and gather some of all of that, and also the work the ambassadors are doing, that we can, have education on different levels, from the students to the politicians, and from the industry expert to the hardcore Java coder who's really looking at, this Haskell, does it really bring me anything in the application landscape I'm writing in? Mm-hmm. So I think there's some things there which is really important and would probably not natively be voted in Catalyst or in other things, but is a place which really is needed to get adoption on board.
It's music for my ears, because when I got here 1 year ago, was everything about code. Nobody wants to talk about anything, right? If you start few conversations in groups, people will ignore you because it was everything about code in the stake pool. And I came in and I started talking about education, what was important. And it's so amazing that you all come together now in this stage and say, like, we need education for all levels. And we do need, because we do need to explain to the guy how the wallet works and how he's buy and transfer to the wallet and how delegate, how we can say all the scientists that will solve high level problems. We all need to be educated. How are we going to attract this word that is out there to our ecosystem and show that we could do things better, cheaper, and faster?
Yeah. So that's some of the parts. And then maybe the third leg, if you want to call it that, is that I think in the future, our fantastic community will take over a lot of, and they will build a lot of applications, right? So a lot of non-custodial wallets and Cardano blockchain explorers and, oracles and other things. But to ensure we get there as fast as possible, the foundation will try and ensure that where we can, we will build things, put it open source so everybody can learn from it and take whatever they want. But we will build some of this, market infrastructure who connects to the existing world, the system of the world as we know it, where there is all these intermediaries, which technically speaking, blockchain can disintermediate, right? But maybe we don't want to do that due to the regulation or due to the legal setup, right? But to build some of this connective tissue, which is needed. So there we call it the art of the possible. So what's actually possible on the Cardano blockchain today, which adds business value and ensures adoption. So we're looking really like focused on those things. So we're not looking at an application, or we also, I don't know if you know it already, right? But we also do support about 83 exchanges today, right? So for many people, to get in, so basically to buy ADA, so they can use the features of native tokens and other things, they go through an exchange, whether regulated or or unregulated or something like that. That's actually also something we support from a technical perspective and integration perspective. And we also help them with certain technical descriptions which allow them to get legal opinions. And we're also starting to onboard banks. So I don't know if you've seen that, but there's several banks which is now able to hold data, and some of them are also getting ready to stake. And so we also do that as well. So it's there's multiple ways we're actually kind of encouraging the community. But I think there's some of that which also deserves some credit to some of our hardworking staff.
Okay. And my next question would be around partnerships. I know you have a partnership with this or that company, but I'm always curious how these partnerships come to fruition, how they happen. How do you pick a company and say, oh, I want to be partner of this company or that other company to help grow the ecosystem?
So we are actually working on formalizing that because at the given point right now, we have over 1,000 companies who reached out to us and said, we want to build on Cardano, help us. And that's obviously not very scalable because we're 30 people and we can't deal with 1,000 companies. It's just, it doesn't work. And we expect that when we get a little bit further in the rainbow model of Gauguin, right? That these 1,000 becomes 10,000 or 100,000 companies. It's going to be very exponential. So David Taylor is actively looking at that and ensuring that we can give everybody a good feedback and a good experience around that. But I can tell you a little bit about how I think about it.
Yeah.
So the first thing I kind of look at when I speak to somebody is, why do they want to do blockchain? And if it's because they're shareholders or their board or some senior leaders, they're just like, they have to do something in emerging technology because they have to show their shareholders that they've tried, then it's a clear no for me. We are in the Cardano Foundation with the amount of staff we have, no matter what the brand is. And I really mean that we said no to some very, very famous brands and very large brands. We will not support anybody if we kind of have a feeling that they're only doing a POC or an MVP to kind of needed to prove that it doesn't work because of some kind of a corporate governance play. The second part is we're looking at the specific use case. So when we have a good feeling that they're actually going to go live and it makes sense to do it on blockchain, because very often there's other technologies who might make sense, we kind of look at, what is the use case? Is this a use case which we can already do on the technology stack, which is live today? So not what's coming in a year or in 2 years or 5 years, but do we have a confidence that that will work right now? And the third thing we're looking at is we're looking at that technical capability. So we do not currently, we are not a custom software development shop. So if it is so that they have no technical people and they have no experience within multi-party computational layers or security or coding or whatever that might be, they need for that specific use case, we very frequently ask them if we can, get the help, or we can introduce to IRHK or to other awesome, companies who have, engineers for hire as well. So when we are through all of that, then we typically are sitting with, a couple of companies. And if I have a company who is, let me be very binary around it, right? So if I have a use case which I like, which we know we can go live with the technology stack as is, both companies are, they want to really bring it live. It's not just an MVP, but they really want it, and we feel the push and the power and the technical skills are okay. But we can only do one of those companies. We look at, will this use case really change the world? Will that, which company will be able to actually do a little bit of a dent or maybe get a snowball effect rolling of how something can be done dramatically different? Or is this use case about making a company who's already, let's say, extremely wealthy and is doing really well, just even more wealthy? And there we try to take the social good, or we try to take the path which shows that, the ultimate resource is the individual. It's not the centralized AI or, the ivory tower where we're trying to make, somebody being even more wealthy than they are today. Not always we can do that, right? But that's kind of, how we do it. And then last but not least, we look at how many resources do we have which is available right now in the Cardano Foundation, and what are they asking for? Is it technical? Is it business operations? Is it more strategy? Is it reporting? Is it the regulatory unclarity? What is it exactly they're asking for, and can we offer that based on the portfolio we're running today?
So my last question would be, what do you think about Catalyst?
So I think Catalyst is a unicum in the world of blockchain. Many people always ask me, what is the theme of the year? And obviously NFTs and DeFi is the theme of the year. This is the boom which is happening. But for me, that's not the interesting boom. I'm actually not that interested in DeFi and in NFTs. I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong. But what I'm very much interested is in governance. And what I see in the DeFi space and in the blockchain space is that we haven't gotten the governance right just yet. And what Catalyst does, it has over, I believe, more than 100,000 active voters every 8 weeks. I even seen some numbers going towards the 200,000, which essentially makes it the largest government without a nation state behind it. And it's releasing, or has the power to release, over $1 billion, right? So I think this is absolutely magical. It's magical that people go in and they look at these super technical proposals, they form a view and they vote. They give their, they really, they let their voice be heard. I think that's magical. The other thing I think is magical is that we're playing with this concept about what is meaningful participation. We would like to get to a place that over 50% of the network actually votes. And if you look at some of the, let's say, DeFi projects out there, they're struggling with just getting 5% to vote, right? And then some people are saying, yeah, but Fred, you're paying people, you're giving an incentive for people to vote. And that's correct. And maybe that is the way forward. But in essence, what we are seeing right now is the learnings, right? We are in real life with real money, with real direction and real power. We're trying to get the Voltaire era started, to really kick that off. And that is Catalyst, one of the main factors. So I think that's super special. The other thing which is special, which people don't really notice, is actually in the engine room of the Cardano protocol. So maybe all of your listeners know this already, but this makes me super excited. But we have actually 3 sets of keys on Cardano. And to my knowledge, we're the only large project who has that. And it's truly unique. So on one hand, we have the asset key, which basically gives you the right to kind of send and receive ADA. Then we have the staking key, which gives you the beautiful opportunity to do staking, but also have stake pool operators and do pledge and other things. And then we have a voting key. And this kind of ability to separate the keys is magical, because that basically will over time allow you to have professional politicians with liquid democracy online, on-chain. And that's just magical because, in some of the countries I'm coming from and where I'm being operating a lot, you vote on a certain party or politician, if you're some places, right? And then that person for years can go and do whatever they want. And then you can complain and you can write newspaper articles, but you gave the person the mandate to do something for 4 years and he's probably made some promises. But with liquid democracy and basically with things like Catalyst and this separation of the voting key, on certain topics, I might say, ooh, actually, Maria, you know a lot more about, emerging, cultures and what the problems are in that local area than I do. So why don't I give you my voting key for these decisions, and then I can take them back if I want, and we can share the revenue of the voting. Or we can think about, what about preferential voting? That instead of voting on one person, you vote on a team and only the constellation of the team. Because sometimes there's a strong leader, but he doesn't have a lot of, governance background or finance or social background or whatever. So we can kind of start playing around with some of those things. And I think that's what makes me so excited with Catalyst. And I think where the foundation can do a lot is that, and we you saw we're already in one of the proposals, right? So we are in one of the voting groups and so on. But what we really can do is we have to help more on the pre and post Catalyst voting. So if you are very strong in IT, but you're not very good in business or operating models, maybe we can help there to articulate the business model if nobody else in the network does that. Or if the opposite way, you have identified a very exact local problem, but you're not sure how to convey that into technology, so into a smart contract or an application which can run on Cardano. then maybe we can help there. So, crossing those boundaries, if the participants in Catalyst is not doing it natively on the platform, as we see now. And the other part is when a project then gets money from the community, who actually ensures that the money gets put into the right use? So let's say you get 10 million to do something which requires a hard fork combinator. What about the security? What about the resilience of the code? What about, the budgeting? Should they get 10 million straight away, or should that be based on some milestones and so on? And I think here at the foundation, or at least we're looking at it very seriously with the foundation, we have identified a problem which we can help to solve, but we've not found the right way yet. And we're really looking forward to explore also with the community about how do we put in some safety barriers. So we don't want to stop the development, but we want to ensure that the community gets as much bang for their buck based on their voting power. So how do we actually get these beautiful things live, which was actually voted upon?
I see. Well, you see, Lovelace Academy is from Catalyst, and we are here because the community said we are here ready to deliver some content, and I'm very happy and very, very looking forward to your actions toward Catalyst, because I think it's an amazing project that will bring out so many projects in our community that will give value to the community.
I agree. It's one of the things that sets Cardano aside from all other projects out there. It's really a place where not only it shows the community strength, but also shows how much power and how early in the project the power is already shifting gradually towards the community, which I think is very interesting. And finding the barrier of how fast that should go and so on, nobody knows the right answer to that. But I think that's, again, a part of the beauty of Catalyst, that you can really see in real time with real data how this governance experiment is panning out, while still having the greater vision of reaching a place where you have a decentralized brain, where it's really about, the crowd or the swarm making better decisions than one or two individuals.
That's brilliant. A very good answer. I think loads of people in the community would love to ask these questions. Anyway, Frederik, I would love to say thank you to you for being here and giving some of your time to the community. And would you like to address anyone? Actually, any news for the Cardano Ambassador? Do you have any news for me?
I'm not so close to the Cardano Ambassador program, as you know. We have this fantastic new concept that every 3 weeks we meet and we have the opportunity to speak together. Last meeting, I introduced a new approved strategy, and we're waiting on the videos coming out, right? I know that the ethics committee is doing really well, and I think that's going to be, formalized. We also changed the onboarding process to always include the code of conduct. And I think we also kind of established that we need to give the ambassadors even more opportunities to build business models, but also to support. So there's something around how do we give even more tools to the ambassadors that they can, really do their work around spreading the beautiful word and all of those things. So that we are really, we're working very structured around that. But it's very hard also because it's not a one size fits everybody. So we kind of seen that there's different buckets where ambassadors are adding a lot of value, and we're trying to kind of think about how do we support the ambassadors in the best way that we really can, that we can get all of the power and the fantastic energy the ambassadors have, right? That we kind of can take away the pain and give them more of the good stuff. And I think there's a much more to be had there. And I think also the ambassador program is, in my liking, is a bit too small. I think there's room for 100 more ambassadors at least, and we could probably also cover more countries and different countries and languages than we do today as well.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here with me. I really, really appreciate.
You're more than welcome. Have a really great day, Maria.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.